Twice now I've heard Micha Goodman of the Hartman Institute explain the zero-sum game that Israel is forced to play. And it has something to do with love and fear, which are rooted in Torah, actually. Love and fear are put together as a pair, as two sides of a coin, in constant tension with one another. Israel identifies with the West. Israel is a democracy, and many of its values are Western values. So Israel loves the West, and Israel wants to be loved by the West. Micha Goodman continues to explain that at the same time Israel wants to be loved by the West, Israel wants to be feared by the Middle East. And when Israel conducts itself in ways that are loved by the West, in his opinion, Israel is no longer feared by the Middle East. And when Israel conducts itself in ways that are feared by the Middle East, Israel is no longer loved by the West. And so it is a zero-sum game, impossible to win, with only bad choices on the table. This brutal 6-month war, this week we crossed over that threshold into 6 months, God help us. It is not only being waged in order to bring the hostages home and to disempower Hamas, Dayenu, that would have been enough, but it is also being waged to send a message to Iran. And tonight all of Israel is bracing itself. Tonight Jews everywhere are holding our breath, and we are praying that Iran will hold its fire. When I was in Israel in November, I heard many Israelis say two things at the same time. They said they really do care what the world thinks, and they want the West to understand them. I remember they quoted verbatim what Prime Minister Trudeau had said that week. They are hyper-aware of what is said and what is not said on university campuses, in the halls of the UN, on social media, and across the Western nations. It matters to them. And at the same time, they said, almost in the same breath, that at the end of the day, we will do what we have to do. And if we have to go it alone to protect our children and ourselves, we will go it alone. I haven't said it so bluntly since October 7th, but I will say it tonight. Israel is fighting for its life. Love and fear. Sometimes they seem impossible to bring together, but Torah brings them together when it comes to God. We are commanded, ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha, you shall love the eternal your God. And we are also commanded in Torah, et Adonai Elohecha tira ve'oto ta'avod. You shall revere or fear or stand in awe before your God, the eternal your God. We experienced a measure of what it is to put love and fear together. Just this week, we witnessed one of God's miraculous creations when the planets and stars and moons align in such a way as to form the solar eclipse. And I saw there was a lot of love. People were open-hearted with one another, enthusiastic. Strangers shared their eclipse glasses with one another. I shared my eclipse cookies with strangers in the park. People shared their gorgeous photos of the eclipse online. Some drove hours with friends and family or hitched a ride to be in the path of totality. And lovers held each other when they beheld this life-changing event. They said, time stood still, and I felt so small, and I was awestruck To be awestruck is a good translation of the word yirah. Others, even in this cloudy neighborhood, couldn't help but give out a hoot as the sky grew dark and the air grew cold. Children skipped through the park on their way home from school, sensing that something was happening, something special, something that they should try to remember forever. And others more fear. Not love, not awe, but real fear. I met someone from India this week who told me that he would stay inside during the pandemic because where he comes from, eclipses are to be feared. And when I asked a friend if she had plans for the eclipse, she said that her plan was to bring her Holocaust survivor father and her mother down to the basement. And not only did she have that protective and fearful instinct, but she laughed when she reported that her 20-something-year-old son texted her earlier that day to inquire, "What are you going to do to keep Zadie and Bubby safe during the eclipse?" She said, "I have passed on the inherited trauma so well." So, ahava and yirah, love and fear, Israelis live with it every day. They raise their children knowing that there will be enormous love in their lives. They will be treasured, and that they will also have to live with fear. When they put on the soldier's uniform, it is an expression of loving devotion to God and country, and awe for the magnitude of the task. Israelis know they have a role to play in Jewish history. They are acutely aware that they are living in Jewish history, which is unfolding in real time. And this constant awareness makes them feel that their lives are necessary, that their lives have purpose, that their lives are important, if also very small and easily sacrificed. When Jacob was preparing to meet his brother Esau after many years apart, and after tricking him out of his brother's birthright and blessing, the text reads, "Vayira Yaakov me'od, vayetzer lo." Jacob was very fearful, and he was afraid. Why the repetition in the text? Wouldn't it have been enough to say that Jacob was fearful, or Jacob was very fearful? Rashi explains, Jacob was very fearful that he would be killed, and he was afraid that he would have to kill. Rashi believes this dual fear is how a Jew goes into battle, fearful of being killed, afraid of having to kill. Israelis do not want this war. They want it over. And that story is not being told in the Canadian press. But we know the truth, and we can speak that truth to one another and to anyone who will listen. And we can speak that truth in our prayers to God on high. The Haggadah will resonate in so many ways this year, in new ways and in old ways. We've prepared for you a collection of supplemental readings that you can bring to your Seder table, share with your friends and family. It will spark good conversation, respectful and enriching conversation. One of the portions of the Seder, as a child, I was taught to sing it, but I didn't really pay attention to what the words were about. V'hi she'amda. And it is this that has stood for our ancestors and for us, since it is not only one person or one nation that has stood against us to destroy us, but rather in each generation, b'chol dor vador, They stand against us to destroy us, but the Holy One, blessed be God, rescues us from their hands. Did you always know these words to be true? Did you reject these words as I did? Not true in every generation. Or are you seeing the truth as I am now, that we are at risk? Vehi she'amda lavotenu velanu. Vehi she'amda lavotenu velanu. Shelo echad bilvad amad aleinu lechalotenu. Ella shebechol dor vador omdim aleinu lechalotenu. Vehakadosh baruch hu matzilenu miadam. Vehakadosh baruch hu matzilenu miadam. May God bless the state of Israel and all who love it with peace. May all its inhabitants know protection and relief and joy. May all its citizens know safety. May all its defenders know success. May all its supporters know hope. May we too feel secure right here in our own homes and our own neighborhoods. May leadership everywhere be deserving of our trust. And may we each do our part to see our people through this frightful and uncertain time. May we have confidence in the eternality of the Jewish people. And as the prophet dared to dream, may we live to see the day when each and every person will sit under vine and fig, and nothing and no one will make us afraid. Shabbat Shalom.